it really sucks that we don't have the power we should to be able to do something about this. There's really nothing we can really do about it, right? And that sucks. But it would just be really consoling if at least our Communist Party knew what the correct position was and had a solid anti-war position. Thank you, Dr. Mosquito. Even our Communist Party is small, and I understand that. But as small as it is, as small as it actually is, it would at least be something for our Communist Party, the only one we have in this country, to assume the correct position on this matter. To be able to tell the American people that this war is not in their interests. But disgustingly, you want to know what communists are saying in response to tweets like the one I make? Specifically about how war is not in the interest of the American people? This is a tweet I made. If you ask me or anyone else, this seems like a pretty convincing case to the American people that we should not, right? So what do the leftists and the communists and the Communist Party, how do they respond to tweets like this? What do they say? Well, just ask this tweeter, John. Actually, it isn't the British Empire, it's the Americans. The CIA kills for the American rich. Oppression didn't start at the end of World War II. It was by the American nationalists who invaded Texas. Well, actually before the Civil War. Continuing. Let's continue. And this is what they tell us. Okay, guys, it's time for 1619. It's time for critical race theory. And it's time to reflect. Thank you. Thank you, Natsugi. It's time for some critical race theory and reflection, guys. It wasn't a deceit of government of England, but average American citizens who conquered, enslaved, and stole. Americanism did it. Normal citizens did it. And the British, you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty, and we're all guilty. Why doesn't everyone see that we're all steeped in sin? We're all guilty. It's us. We're the problem. We're guilty, don't you see? I'm going to explain to you this form of reasoning. First of all, you want to talk about Anglo bullshit. This is 1000% Anglo-Protestant Calvinist fanaticism. First of all, theologically it is. The aesthetic, the mentality, the inclination to think this way, to believe this is a viable position to have, this is a true and correct position to have. This comes from a uniquely Anglo strain of Protestant fanaticism and Calvinism, according to which the world is one of total depravity, we are all condemned, we are all full of sin, we must be guilty, blah, blah, blah. Right? I mean, why do you think they attack Russia right now, ideologically? Well, because they're basically saying, no, you cannot have a government that represents the substantive realities of its people. We can only have abstract, universal, liberal governments that pretend to be neutral. You can't have a Russian government. You can only have a liberal government. Because if it's not liberal, it's fascist. Just ask Bosch. Everything's fascism. That's outside of my neurotic bubble. Thank you so much, Atari, for the 10. Thank you so much, Atari, for the 10. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you so much. Because I want to actually delve pretty deep into this, and this is something I want you guys to keep in mind. I want your attention on this matter, and I want you to really focus and pay attention. It's time for some Professor Haas. Not the official show, but you got to bear with me here, right? So first of all, I'm going to address the tweet on the merit of its content. And then I'm going to get into the mentality behind this kind of tweet and why it's false. I'm going to explain to you what America is and why you can't blame America for the crimes of America. When this country was founded in 1776, we did not have a very good idea of what kind of country we were going to be. What civilization were we going to build? What would it look like? What is the character of this country going to be? What is What will be our way of doing things, right? You had people like Alexander Hamilton, who proposed a very unique form of economic policy, industrial policy, that contrasted very astutely and acutely with the British free market system. And Lincoln Smith would continue, Abraham Lincoln would continue this tradition. So you did have bouts of a unique Americanism. So I'll tell you what's unique about America and why it's never been able to really be realized to the fullest extent of its possibility. What is unique about America can plainly be summed up as this. Ready? America removes the British crown and replaces it with the benefit of a doubt. What do I mean by that? The American system, the American way, if you will, was always a blank slate devoid of any content. It was a blank slate. It was tabula rasa. We get rid of the British crown. What did we replace it with? Well, nothing. But what did we keep? We kept this new way of looking at things, new way of looking at the world and dealing with the world, where we don't make any assumptions any longer about what it has to be and what its nature is. We let that manifest itself through work and through industry, right? So Hamilton, for example, proposed a developmentalist system of investment banks throughout the country that would promote economic development, a very much state heavy-handed approach to the economy. We use the state to develop the fort. Now, what the people do with that wealth, we leave that open. We're not going to force anything. You do it. The British have an opposite system, right? The British have a free market, but the way in which the free market manifests is controlled, right? It's controlled by the customs and the norms of the British culture and the aristocracy and the monarchy and so on and so on. The Moors, right, of the time. The Americans, by contrast, did not have a free market system. They had a very state heavy-handed system, but one that had a fundamental liberty, just in the sense of not imposing a specific way and just letting things work, letting things come to pass, letting things be realized. America represents a rejection, quite simply, of the British Empire, the negation of the British Empire. But it never came to the point of the negation of the negation. Right? It still was always stuck in that negation. America was a new opportunity to build a civilization, to realize some kind of reality after modernity, specifically British modernity. That's why America was the inspiration of the anti-colonial movements of the world, specifically China's Sun Yat-sen and Mao Zedong. They all looked at America as heralding this ability to just have a blank slate view at things and rediscover their civilizations. That would not have been possible without the American Revolution. The American Revolution opened the door for the peoples of the world to have a new relationship to industrial modernity. Now, specifically in America, our ruling class has at every turn of its existence still been entangled with the British ruling class. We never filled the hole that was left behind by removing the monarchy. That's why they're going to bring Meghan Markle, by the way, because they see it that way too. They also believe there's something fundamental about monarchy and sovereignty where we need it. We need a monarchy for them, right? We need to have Meghan Markle come because that's always been the hole in our politics. We've never been able to replace that hole that was left behind. Yeah, it explains the liberal idolization of the British royal family. Why do you think the British royal family are celebrities in America? Because we are missing something here where apparently we want to fill that hole with something. We want a royal family to care about and to feel like, rules us and is an example of royalty. So we have a complicated relationship with the British Empire from the very beginning. We've never been able to fully shake them off.